Money runs the modern world, yet almost nobody truly understands how this system works. Not your friends, not your coworkers, and not even most people who work inside banks. But this invisible system quietly decides who becomes rich and who stays struggling. It decides which companies rise, which collapse, and which nations dominate global power. Your entire financial life is shaped by a system you were never taught about. Today, I'm going to explain this entire system in simple human words. No jargon, no confusion, just clarity. Once you understand how this machine works, you'll understand how the world really operates. But before we dive deeper, hit subscribe to Money Math Documentary. Because in every new video, we reveal the hidden truths behind money, debt, inflation, and power. Now let's begin. Imagine the financial system as a giant engine that never stops running. Inside this engine are different players with different powers. Each one creates money, moves money, or multiplies money. And together they shape the economy you live inside every day. At the top of this machine sit the central banks. They are like the gods of the financial world. They decide how much money exists in the entire economy. They decide how expensive or cheap loans should be. They decide whether the economy speeds up or slows down. If the economy slows, they cut interest rates and release new money. If prices rise too fast, they increase interest rates to cool the system. With just one announcement, they can move markets across the world. They don't just influence the economy, they steer it. Below them sit the commercial banks. These are the places where your salary lands every month. Banks like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, HSBC, and the major banks in every country. They hold your money, they give loans, and they keep the economy moving. But here is the most shocking part. Banks don't simply lend out the money they receive. When a bank gives you a loan, it actually creates new money. Your loan becomes money that did not exist yesterday. Every time someone takes a loan, the money supply expands. Every time someone repays, some money disappears. This constant creation and destruction of money drives modern life. Now we move to the giants you rarely think about, pension funds. Pension funds are some of the most powerful financial institutions on earth. They manage trillions of dollars in retirement money. And they do not let that money sit idle. They invest it in skyscrapers, highways, ports, hotels, stocks, and bonds. They buy entire businesses and huge real estate portfolios. Pension funds quietly influence almost every major market. Then come mutual funds. These are investment pools for everyday people. If you invest in Vanguard or Fidelity, you're part of a mutual fund. Mutual funds gather money from millions of investors. They buy huge baskets of stocks and bonds to grow wealth safely. You become a part owner of hundreds or thousands of assets. Now we enter a more risky world, hedge funds. Hedge funds are financial playgrounds for the super rich. They can bet on anything they want. Stocks rising, stocks falling, interest rates moving, currencies collapsing. They even bet on political outcomes and global events. Hedge funds use extreme strategies with extreme risks. Some fail badly. Some outperform the entire market. But they always aim for giant profits. Next, we come to the deal makers, investment banks. These include Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Citi, and others. They make billion-dollar transactions happen. They take companies public and help them sell shares to the world. They arrange mergers between giant corporations. They structure huge loans and financial products. Investment banks are the architects behind global corporate money. Then there are private equity firms. They are like house flippers, but for companies. They buy entire businesses using borrowed money. They restructure the companies, sometimes aggressively. They fire staff, cut departments, and chase short-term profits. If the plan works, they sell the company for massive gain. If the plan fails, the company collapses, but the private equity firm survives. Now let's talk about insurance companies. These companies collect millions of premiums every month. Most people never claim insurance for years. So insurance companies sit on mountains of unused money. They do not let that money sleep. They invested heavily in bonds, stocks, and real estate. Insurance companies are secretly some of the world's biggest investors. Finally, we reach venture capital firms. VCs invest in risky startups with big dreams. Most of these startups will fail, but one giant success can pay for all the failures. This model is called the power law. It is the engine behind companies like Facebook, Google, Uber, and Airbnb. And now you can see the entire picture. Central banks create money. Commercial banks multiply money. Pension funds store and grow long-term money. Mutual funds give everyday people access to investing. Hedge funds take extreme bets for extreme profits. Investment banks move billions between corporations. Private equity firms flip entire companies for gains. Insurance firms invest the money you pay for safety. Venture capitalists gamble to create the next big innovation. Together, they form one giant interconnected web. Money flows from one to the other every second. Debt moves. Risk moves. Wealth moves. And every paycheck you earn becomes fuel for this machine. The financial system is powerful. It is complex. It is beautiful. It is dangerous. And it is completely misunderstood by most people. But now you see how the engine works. You understand the simplified truth no school ever teaches. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe to Money Math Documentary. Because the next videos go even deeper into hidden economic systems. And once you learn how the system works, you can finally learn how to use it.